Well, I'm gonna move on to this passenger fender. I took some 40 grit on a grinder there. Actually, this is hook and loop, and I got a whole bunch of it back when I didn't have any tools. I had no air. I got a bunch of it to try to do a project. And then I got air tools. Anyway, I put it on this drill, and this 40 grit really cuts good. And got this fender top half anyway, ground off. Pulled my light horns off, and got it down into the metal. I worked on this a little bit. It still needs quite a bit of work. Got some little dents in here. This part's not bad, but we get down into about the same place it was on the other one. Now, I don't remember if I welded up something in here or what, but I've got a pretty bad place right there. So I'm gonna, and I got a pretty good dent right there, and quite a bit right around here. Got a hole in it there I'm gonna have to weld. So that's gonna be a lot of hammer and dolly work. I'll try to knock this out first and get it straight as I can, and just move on from big to little. Looks like it's got a pretty big dent right here, but that's fairly smooth, so there won't be any trouble. I can't knock it out because that's where the brace is under it, but we'll work on this and see what happens. Well, I got that all beaded out as good as I could get it. I'm afraid it's going to go into a bend like the other one. It's soft right in there for some reason, so I put some of this fiberglass on it. That should give it some strength. And I had a couple dents right here where the brace is. Couldn't get them out, so I filled them with fiberglass. The rest of this is pretty good. I can knock that dent out, I think. Yeah. And I'll work on this and get it sorted out and put a grease in it. Got to do a little hammer work on it before I do. Slow, but it's moving. Well, I don't know how well this is going to work. I got it as flat across here as I possibly could. And then I took my cutoff wheel and put me a little gap in it. Now I got to try to save that gap. So I think what I'm going to do is put a piece of tape on it, cut it down to about 1/8 of an inch so I don't fill that gap, and then use that the glass stuff around it. That'll make it pretty strong. And this looks like it's curved in a little right here. It was pretty badly rusted out, so I can force filler in it. That should make this strong, and then putty it on both sides of the gap, and get that all smooth across there. And then probably I can take a hacksaw and lay it in there and get a fairly decent gap in the Bondo itself. This side turned out pretty good. I got most of the dents out of it. Some I couldn't really get to. I mean, I probably could if I had it off, but I'm trying to pound it upside down and hammer from the back. But this was my main concern, was this gap here. I worked on it quite a while. Let me cut up a little piece of tape, put on it, and see what I can get with that. Well, I don't really know how successful this is going to be. That's about a little less than 1/4 inch of tape. And right in the middle of it there, it looked like my curve. I had a curve in it there. So I just put that right on the edge. You can sort of see where the, I don't have anything to point with. Right in this area here is where the cut was off. But that should, I guess I could pull that tape off right now while it's still wet. Yeah, now you can see where it's not right. I was able to get it right on the edge with one side, and the cut side is where it wasn't. So I'll let this harden up, try to sand it off, and I'll have to recut another groove right in this area. Or maybe just cut that one. And it looks like it's going straight and then coming in over here. It's going to be a, I'm not sure what's going to happen here. If I would have had a string, that might have been better. Put a string down through there. But anyway, it's should be pretty straight across, and I can finish up this edge here and get it to come out. And once I can get the Bondo on it a little better, I can do something about that edge. Anyway, we'll see what happens. I'll just have to let this dry real good and then sand it, see what I can come up with. I may put a string in it, cover it with the light Bondo. This stuff doesn't really spread very well. And then just Bondo right across that string, and then pull the string out. That'll give me a pretty good crack through there. I don't need much, just a hint of a crack would be good enough. Well, what I did here is I got a piece of rebar tie wire, and I've kind of jammed it into this hole and taped it down. It's probably not going to be perfect, but it's gonna give me a line that I can shape. This side's way low, So I'm just going to cover this whole thing here with some regular body fill up to the top of the wire, and let it harden pretty good, and then I'm going to pull that wire out. This should give me a pretty decent crack. Well, that didn't turn out too bad. The wire moved around a little, but not much, and I got it filled up good across here. I really wasn't ready for this Bondo, but shouldn't be any trouble getting it off and leaving myself a crack. I'm going to let it harden just a little bit. It's still wet. I put quite a bit of hardener in it, and I can't really see over here in the dark. I'll probably wipe this stuff off if I can. Get it a little smoother. Here we go. I really wasn't ready to Bondo this, but I had plenty. So we got a hole right there I should try to fill. Take some of this off. Ram it into that hole. Yeah, that's a little better. Just a little spot. Anyway, that's good enough. There's one. I should have set it up with the lights on it right. I didn't. I was just trying to get that crack. I think it'll be fine. It's straighter than it was. It doesn't have to be in the metal, and I didn't really want to cut that metal very deep. I think I'll be good there. We'll see after it dries a little. Yeah, pulled my wire out. It broke the corner a little right here, but got a nice straight line there. This is probably way too high anyway, but when I sand it down, any little stuff there I could fill and cleaned it up with a hacksaw blade. But I think this is going to work fine. I've got a nice straight line. Yeah, not the same as this one. Looks like it curves in a little. I don't think anybody's ever going to notice. I just made it straight. Good enough. Well, this fender sorted out nice. Good smooth across here. I got a couple little dents, but my crack is good. It's pretty smooth all the way across. All of this is kind of pretty straight. I did a little fine tuning by hand, but I put my frame horns back on, and I want to make the final mounts under here. There's a big bracket there on the back of the fender. It's about an inch off the frame. So I'm going to cut me two pieces. They're about 6 inches long. I'm going to use this thick wall 1 inch here. and I'm going to make a bracket for both sides, and I'm going to stick that in and clamp it. Then I got some measuring to do here to make sure these fenders are the same. Remember when I first put them on, one fender was hanging down a little lower than the other, but I'll make the blank brackets and bolt it or clamp it. Then I'll do some measuring and we'll get these fenders straight. Well, I got me a couple of pieces of heavy wall square in there. And, we're just going to see what they are in the center of the wheel. 25 1/4. And this one, center of the wheel, just a little above 25 1/2. Just a little high. Front of the fender, center of the wheel, 21 1/2. 21. So it looks like this one needs to go up just a little. Here at 7 inches at the top of the running board. And this is not really straight, but about 7 1/2 or so. So it looks like this left side needs to go up just a little. Just on the outside, on the outside. 1/2 inch is not all that bad. Yeah, I can tell it's a little bit lower. But this can, you know, 1/2 inch can be pretty easily just pulled up out of there. I might just try to grab it right now and bend it. I just gave it a good pull. 21 1/2. 21 1/2. So it'll be no trouble adjusting these fenders perfect. What I did notice is this one is kind of kinked over about an 80-degree angle, and this one's flat. So I would be better off with it bent, of course. So I'm going to try to get a pair of vice grips in there and put a little angle on this one. See what my results are there. Well, there's Mr. UPS truck. I have a feeling it's my fancy new gas tank. We'll see in a minute. Yep, that's what it was. I pulled some of the gooba out of it. Let's set this down a second. Here we go. $17 gallons. You know, it's going to look a lot better than that old piece of crap that I was gonna use, and it's only 9 gallons. So I'll set this in there and see what it looks like. There she blows. I measured all this stuff, and I cut a piece of cardboard here for the size of the tank and put it in there, and that's how I decided what tank to use. And so I'm not at all surprised that it fits. And I got another piece that's the size of the battery. So basically this this tank is going to go over to the left. I don't think it's going to sit in there by itself. Maybe. Kind of. Yeah, that's pretty good. So that's where the tank's going to go. Be over here next to the frame, and the battery will go right there. So I'll have plenty of room for that. It's clearing my suspension and everything good. And I'll run the, I've got some AN fittings here. I don't know where they are. It's probably going to fall down if I fool with it. Let me see if I can find those fittings. Well, these are 6 AN, which is what I can put in my 3/8 fuel line. But I'm going to have to get an 8 to a 6. So got a rollover, fuel in, and return line. Nice looking tank. Looks like it's welded real good. Must have been with a computer. Sure it was. And this will give me room to get my fill spout in here. And this will bolt down and keep it from splashing. So that's a nice looking tank. I actually got a pretty good deal on it. This is a kind of a cheaper model. It don't really have any brackets or anything on it. But I'll make a little cage for it. That's what I'm going to use some of the 1-inch for. I'll just weld some kind of a bracket there. I need to get it up a couple more inches so the rear end won't hit it. But basically that's where it's going to go. I think I'll just throw a couple boards in there, and I don't know if my old Chrysler gauge is going to work with this or not. God knows what it was designed for. One thing I did find out about these things, I figured that they would be nuts welded on the back. There's not. So if you go to take with this gauge out to try to bend the arm on it, those nuts are going to drop inside. And you can always stick your arm in here, but guess what? When you take these off, the nut drops inside. So I don't know how they got them on. I messed with one of them for a day trying to figure it out. So I'm just kind of, whatever this thing is showing it empty is going to be there. Whatever it has for full is going to be there too. I'm not gonna try to take it apart and make it perfect. I got this little adapter that's supposed to be coming that matches one fuel gauge to another. You basically hook it up, put it on empty, and hit the set button, and then you bring it up to 1/4 of a tank and set the set button again. So you got to move it 3 times. I don't know exactly how I'm going to do that. I'll probably do it with a wire through that cap, but so it'll set the gauge at full, 3/4, half, and empty. So I think that'll be plenty good for this, but that looks nice. A lot better than this old rusty stuff here. And I still had to put a fuel gauge in it. You know, they're not that expensive, but they're 30-40 bucks. So I got the whole thing here for 100. I just need to get a couple fittings here and we should be good to go. I got that little square welded out or cut off, cut out, little bolt or nuts welded in there and threaded, and I tacked it on where it's got to go. I've got a couple places here in the frame marked where I need to put some bolts. There's one here, one here. Man, I think I sanded that one off. At least 2. And that's to bolt the skin of the fender on. This goes to the brace. This was sticking up about 1/8 of an inch. So I beat that all down. And this is part of the boxing of the frame. I gotta weld that all up, and I went over this edge here. I've already welded a plate on there, cleaned it up. I was only doing it good enough to bolt on there. So I'm going to put some fiberglass on it. This back piece needs to be hammered out straight. Cover this all up, and I got to do something there with the front. Clean it up, grind it down. But just quite a bit of welding, and then I'll have to drill me a couple holes, thread this frame. I don't know how strong they're going to be, but I'll get them on there. Anyway, I'll put you on the tripod and maybe we can watch some of this. Now I turn my voltage and amps up. Let's hope I can run a decent beat across here. We will see. Too beautiful of beads, but they're solid. Better than I was doing when I was blind. This top one is a pretty nice bead. Alright, those are 2 welded. Didn't penetrate the best, but it's good enough. All it is to hold the hole in here. Need to clean it up. Hold the weld. Just clean that up over here. Keep some water out of it. A lot of weld on it, but it's good enough. Got some bolt wheels here I should weld up. I'm gonna leave them. There's a lot of rod, and they're really not that important. This has got an arrow-shaped patch in it. Pretty bad weld, but it's on there. Looks like I could have went a little faster on that one. But it's a pretty decent weld across there. And this one on this back bracket's not too bad. Of course, I've had some practice and I'm getting used to the welder, so it's not so much bird shit as it was. Yeah, it's starting to get dark. I did get this filled up. I had some places that weren't sanded down here, so they left a big lump. I just went around them. I didn't get to the back of this, but this is done on the inside and outside. I'll just have to grind it down now, fill out my holes. You can see there in the top where they're gone. This one's pretty much done, and because this plate here is not going to cover up any further than what it is, I need to fill this whole frame up, make it real nice, because that's all going to be shown. See on the other side from, you know, a couple inches on the other side of that mount, all the way forward, at least up to this cover. That needs to look real nice. Look, I'll grind that weld down right there, and this will be basically all done real nice with Bondo and sanded off smooth, and I'll have real good black paint in there. And I probably need to go through this whole front end, paint it best I can. But anyway, this is done. I have my 3 holes in there for the fender. Hey, the dog just got out. Dog's easy to trick. Just open the car door, he'll jump right in. Wants to go for a ride. Anyway, fender's done. This is pretty much done. I need to put one more coat of Bondo on it. It's a lot of little work. I filled some of these holes instead of welding them on the other side. I welded them, but there were some pretty big ones in there. So I'll get this all sorted out and that splash shield fixed, piece welded on it, and when I get the splash shield off, there's quite a bit of rust and stuff right in there. I'll grind that all down and fill it. So this looks like it's probably about the last of the major body work. So it's moving along slow, guys. We just ain't got it yet, as our friend Bob would say. So like and subscribe. I'll keep pressing on this thing a little bit at a time. Probably the next thing I'll do, or one of the next things, is once I get these panels made, I'll finish up this frame real good and probably just brush paint it with some of that semi-gloss all the way along, so I can put my panels and running boards on. Won't have to take them off and paint them again. Just paint the frame, and I'll probably just paint the running boards. And I got a weird focus problem. Hope you saw any of that. But thanks a lot for watching. I sure appreciate you, and we'll see you next time.